This is a short and abbreviated version of the in-class lecture. The video file was lost somewhere. I'm not sure what I did with it, and so I apologize for all those who have been waiting for this one. It's going to be sort of a condensed version. I'll go through things kind of quickly. If you have any questions along the way, please do contact me through email or call me. Just let me know if you have any questions or problems with this one. There are two topics that we're covering today. We'll be working with the rest of the installation of Zential, as well as working with the screen capturing software and being able to submit some of your homework. I am looking at possibly in the future doing a little bit differently, but this is the way that you'll need to be submitting the first several exercises anyway, and it's good practice of getting started with that. First of all, finishing up with Zential, so far what we've installed is the operating system, but not really any of the services that go along with it. This is completely Ubuntu based. That's where we're looking at it. We might look at that more in the future again, but right now we'll just be finishing up today with looking at installing some of the services or packages, sort of a graphical interface to the Ubuntu. This is a paid version. We do get a 30-day trial, so everything's fine that way. But as far as long-term, we'll be sticking with Ubuntu, which is completely free and sort of the base. Understanding Ubuntu, you'd be able to apply that to any of these other versions of server software that's based on Ubuntu. But it's kind of nice seeing something that's sort of this sophisticated and this far on. Continue with the installation. I installed Zential, I booted up the server machine, and I come up to this screen. And it looks at the username and password screen for the server as if we're at the desktop machine where it asks for the username and password. It's actually not quite completely true. This, in fact, is a web browser. We're in Mozilla Firefox right now, and it does come up to this by default automatically, but that is just a web browser. It does all the administration and configuration using a web browser, whether it's on your local computer, like in this case it is, or on a remote computer. If you've taken the Novell class, it's very, very similar to that. The server just sits in the background and waits to be administered through a web browser. I'm not going to be administering it to the local machine. I want to be doing it remotely. So I'm going to close this window. I'm closing Firefox, and I do come to a Zential desktop. Now, last week when I was introducing this and shutting down, my screen wasn't maximized. I didn't have this in the lower right-hand corner of the power button, and I completely missed it, so I apologize. I was having you go through the administrator console and shutting down your computer from there by doing a shutdown command. You don't have to do that. You do have the power button in the lower right-hand corner. If you click on that, it asks you if you want to shut down, reboot, log out, or I'm going to cancel here. But just kind of adding to last week's notes or the previous session's notes about powering off your Zential server. I do want to remotely access this, and I need to find out what the IP address is. It is, if I go to the administrator console, or I could use user console. It doesn't make much difference because I'm just doing an ifconfig. I don't need administrative rights to do that. And I can see that my address has been assigned to 192.168.230.138. If I was using a static address, I would always know what my server's names are. If I use DNS, I would just be able to give it a descriptive name, such as Zential server. because I'm not using either of those, I need to check my IP address. So go ahead and check that out and find out what your IP address is of your server. So 230.138 in this case. Now what I can do is I can go to my desktop and launch the web browser from here. So again, this is a different computer, and I can do this from any computer in the internet. As long as I have a web browser, I'd be able to remotely administer this server connection, HTTPS 192.168.230.138. It's going to say this connection is untrusted. I don't have a security certificate on there. I do understand the risks. Scroll on down, and I want to add the exception. And I confirm the security exception. It brings to the exact same screen as came up automatically in the Mozilla Firefox browser on the server. I'm just doing it remotely now. This is not remote control or remote desktop. I should say that, as I'm doing things on the client computer, you're not going to see anything over here. Everything's all done in the background, sort of like an SSH connection. I do want to log in. And I'll go ahead and log in as root. No, I'm sorry, as Paul B. And my password is password. So my username is Paul B. and my password is password. I go ahead and enter. Would you like to remember the password for Paul B? Typically not a good idea. You don't want to keep an administrator's access onto a saved on a computer's browser. If someone walks up to it, they could access it. So I'm never going to remember passwords for the site. I'll always type it in. I'm going to scroll around a little bit here. This has different server roles up on top, and there's a gateway, infrastructure, office, and communication, and they can be mixed and matched. These are a combination of services or modules, what they call it here, but different services that are on there. If I want to see the information on the gateway, I can click on more information, and it gives a really good description. It talks about my gateway feature as a faster internet connection. When your users visit the same website, data will be downloaded only once. There's caching that's happening on the server. You can do traffic shaping and quality of service, saying some things have higher priority than the others. Web content filtering, since everything goes through this server then, before it gets to the internet, it can be filtered. And it can also balance, load balance, and make your load balancing and making availability. Infrastructure deals with acting like a DHCP server, DNS, web server, certificate authority. It kind of gets rid of that nasty error messages that we keep getting. Or Office. This is your basic file and print server, as well as directory services, data backup, and groupware, being able to collaborate online. Communication deals with instant messaging, email, voice over IP, and also includes groupware as well. And those are things that are done by default if you install any one of them. If I go ahead and click, didn't need to do that. Just the main screen installation. As you click these different packages, like if I click on Gateway, you see what things are included. If I turn off Gateway, those go away. You can mix and match. So if I click on Gateway, those will be selected. And if I click Infrastructure, a couple more will be selected. And there's more items down here. You can choose all of them. You can tell if you've chosen the packages, the roles up on top, because the boxes will be opened or closed. Kind of neat. Or you don't have to do those at all. You can just choose the options that you want, and it's going to install just those roles for you, those modules on the server for you. Just for a simple practice to work with installing packages, I'm going to install the Office package. That's going to be doing antivirus, certificate authority, cloud client, file, sharing and domain services, firewall, and a couple other modules on here. When you have the ones that you want selected, whether you want to add or remove from that default configuration, you click on Install. And it goes to the rest of the installation. Down in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, it's going to confirm that these are the packages you want to install. Go ahead and click OK. And you can watch it installing. During the installation, it's going to come up with a couple of options, during the configuration options. The first one is talk about the network interface. It's going to ask you if your external interface is connected to the network. Basically, that's for networks that are not under your control, typically the internet. So we can just keep this as the way it is, just an internal connection. I click Next, and it asks me how on my Ethernet 0 or my network interface card to be configured. I can have a DHCP, or I can use a static address. This would be a really good time to set it as static. I'm not going to be worried about that though. You just need to set the IP address, default gateway, subnet mask, and the DNS information on there. That's not the really important part. It's pretty easy to do if you understand IP addressing. You just fill in the blanks. We'll leave it as DHCP since this is the only time we'll be using the server. Go ahead and click Next again. It's going to ask you for a domain name. This is fine. The default is just fine. If you had a real meaningful name on the internet, on the network, you could be able to put that in there as well. Next one is you can register the server. Zential, register your Zential server for free and get these benefits. You get to back up your configuration in the cloud, and you also get a subdomain for your server. You get one subdomain, so if you have multiple servers, you just have one that's actually a subdomain on the internet that you'll be able to use. You don't have to do this. I would suggest that you go through the process at some point just to practice and see what it gives you and how it works out, but we're going to skip this. It's going to gather all the information, and it's going to finish up the installation process. Once it finishes the installation, you'll come to the final screen. Installation is finished. Congratulations. This is your Zential installation has successfully finished. You can click and go to the dashboard. When you click on the dashboard, it's going to give you just basic information, your general information here, the time, the core version. If there's updates, you can click on there to get the updates. There's documentation for resources on the side. Your server account, if it was registered or not. It's not, so you can register it. You can register for free, and we sort of talked about that before. Here's your network interface, how much traffic is going through, what the IP address is. And as we saw, the DHCP gave it an IP address of 230.138, but that can be changed. Lots of different services and things on the side that you can restart. If you wanted to stop them, restart them, whatever you need to work with them. Again, if you're familiar with the Novell or get exposure to it at all, it's somewhat similar, that you have a lot of different menus on the left-hand side that you can work with and configure your Zential server. If I click on System, I'm actually able to remotely from a web browser on any device, so this could be even off a cell phone or off a PDA or a tablet of sorts, click on Halt and Reboot, and you can shut down your server. You can work with your network, your interfaces, such as Ethernet 0, your gateways, DNS, services, maintenance, monitoring logs, events, disk usage, software management, system updates, settings, and then your registration. We do have a firewall that we can configure on here. And these are some other infrastructure things that they talked about that were available features. DNS, Certification Authority, VPNs, and NTP is Network Time Protocol. And then users and groups, file sharing and printer sharing, all do with that Office suite that was installed. We can create users. LDAP was installed, the Lightweight Directory Access Protocol, and that's where you get groups. We're not getting into that type of administration on this server, but that would be very similar to the Windows servers, Active Directory, or Novell servers, eDirectory, or Novell Directory Services. And then we have antivirus down there as well. That is all we're going to be doing with the Zential server, giving you access to it, letting you see of how you can, do a lot of these different things through a full-featured graphical user web interface. I don't need any special software installed on my computer, just a web browser, and that's able to do all that. Again, this is not a commercial product. I guess it would be a commercial product. You have a 30-day trial, but if you want to be using it long-term, you do have to purchase it. I'm going to go ahead and shut down the system. Halt, and I click Halt. And if I want to watch my server, I can switch over to my server, and it's showing that it is shutting down. What's nice about that is that you can have a server sitting off in the back room somewhere. Doesn't even need to have a monitor on it. It just sits there chugging away, doing what it's supposed to do, and you can remotely access it just through a web browser and be able to graphically administer it. Our last topic is showing you how you'd be able to show some of the skills that we've been doing. So instead of me walking around and seeing everybody actually do the different skills or having somebody else check off on a check sheet to say, yes, this person did that, you're actually able to show yourself to do it by recording the screen and then submitting it into an Angel Dropbox. I'm going to walk you through one scenario, and it's going to be very, very simple. And in fact, it is a one of the assignments. So under Linux 2, under Learning Plans, I have several. There's a Dropbox folder under Learning Plans. If you click on there, you can see different things that I'm going to be having you work on. And these are things I want to start working on now and submitting these, of showing that you can do these different skills. I just highly recommend that when you are showing a specific skill, that you have everything set and all configured and just ready to show it very quickly. Then you do a screen capture, show it just right to the point. In some cases, it's going to be very, very short, very sweet and simple. You capture it, you save it, you upload it to Angel. I'm going to use this example of adding 2 plus 2. It says, use Windows Calculator to show how to add 2 plus 2. So you get everything ready on your computer, and it's going to show that, well, I'm probably going to need to use a calculator. So I'm going to find the program calculator, and I have it all up and ready. Once I have everything ready that I want to be working with, and then I want to be going to a website called screencast-o-matic.com, and it's screencast-o-matic.com, and that is an O in the middle, not a 0. So screencast-o-matic. There's a paid version and a free version. We're just using the free version. What's also nice about this is we don't really install anything. Right from this web page, we can click on Start Recording Your Screen. It does, I'm not sure if it's Java or what it's installing, but it just runs. It's not going to show up under Control Panel Programs. It's not going to really enter anything in your registry. It's just running right now. It's very simple. It has very limited features, but it's going to do exactly what we want to do pretty quickly and pretty easily. The first thing you want to do is resize the screen to what you need it to be. If you're working with a virtual machine, then just make the screen size just big enough for the virtual machine. In this case, I'm just doing the calculator, so I want to resize it to just be as big as the calculator. And it's only letting me make it that narrow. The smaller you make it, the better, because you're able to then have much smaller file sizes. If you need to move this around, grab the little tab in the middle and move it to where you want it to be. Again, if you can make it, just tight right around the part of the screen you want to show something, that's all you need to do. You don't need to show the entire screen. So once I have everything set, I want to record this, I click the record button. When I click record, it's starting to record. Go. That means I need to show what I'm supposed to show. I'm supposed to show how to add 2 plus 2. 2 plus 2 equals. And that's it. You're done. When you show the skill that's required of you, you just click done. You don't have that many options on here. You have a couple. You can publish to Screencast-O-Matic. They have their own website where you're able to upload the file and share it, very similar to YouTube. They also do have YouTube, and they also have published to a video file. If you want to play this before you submitted this, there's a little play button down on the bottom. It's hard to see on this screen, but I click play, and I have the microphone on. You don't need to have the microphone on, but you're able to oh yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to do. If things look good, I'm ready to publish it. I'm teaching you right now to save this to a file. So I want to publish to a video file and ask for the video type. And we'll be choosing QuickTime MP4. MP4 is a pretty standard typical file format, video format, and that's what we're going to use. We'll use the full size, so this is the size of the recording, 320 by 328. Just happens to be what I selected. Most of you will be larger, since the virtual machine is going to be bigger than the calculator is. If you wanted to add notes or captions, you certainly could. We really only need to be changing this, not even changing it, just making sure that we're in MP4. It doesn't show up under video type. I wish it did. So do make sure you click on the down arrow and click on MP4. When you're done, you click Save Video. And what do you want to save it as? Edition demo, and it's going to save as MP4. Make sure you keep track of where you're saving it, to my desktop in this case, and it will save the video to my desktop. When you click back, you can then publish it to YouTube or publish it to Screen-O-Matic or publish it to a different file format if you wanted to. Once there's no editing feature, so I can't change this or cut anything out or add anything to it. It is just a straight screen capture. When you're done working with this specific recording, go ahead and click Done with this recording, and it tells you this will delete the recording files on your computer. That's just the Screencast-O-Matic video files, not the MP4 that you created. But once you do this, once I click OK, you can't go back and say, oh, I want to do this with the file or this with the file. You can, if you saved it to an MP4 file, you certainly can still upload it to. You can still certainly upload it to YouTube or convert it to a different file format, but then you have to do that on your own. Once you have the file, the edition demo, then you'd go back to I have to find my right. It's one of the, oh, over here. Well, I go back to Angel, and I then submit it on the Dropbox. I go to Learning Plans. I choose Dropboxes, and I find the one that I just created. In this case, it's adding 2+2. I want to submit this. I do need to give this a title, so I can put 2+2 demonstration. You can add a message in here if you want. I don't believe you have to have a message, though. You do have to have a title. And then we look at the click on the attachments button. Click on the attachments. It asks us to choose a file and wait for it to come up. I'm looking for my desktop. And on my desktop, I find my MP4 file that I want to add. I click Open. It shows that this is the file that you want to upload, Edition Demo MP4, and I upload the file. And I click Finished. This is a very short demo, and it's also a very small resolution, 320 by 328. And so the file is only 388 kilobytes, pretty small. This could easily be into megabytes. Don't worry about that. Just upload what you need to do. When you're done with this, or if you have something specific you want to add or say, you certainly could do that as well. And then you click Submit. And then you click OK. When you're done submitting, you're only allowed to submit this once. But when you're done submitting, you can see that you submitted it down on the bottom. Subject demonstration, 2+2 demonstration. You can click on it, and if you clicked on it again, you'd be able to download the file and watch the video itself, or watch it. You see the date and time that it's submitted, and then when it is scored, you'll be seeing your score here and in your grade book. I'm waiting for most people to get done with those before I go back and grade them, but you'll be seeing those grades showing up probably in the next week or two. If, for whatever reason, you realize you just upload the wrong file, or, oh, I really didn't show what I wanted to show or needed to show, or I missed something, or whatever it is, you're not able to submit a second view through the software. Let me know, and I will delete your current submission, and then that will allow you to do another submission. So I'm only allowing one submission. The system's only allowing one submission per Dropbox item, such as adding 2+2. But again, I understand if there's mistakes or errors, that if you want to re-upload, I will certainly allow that. Just let me know. I'll delete your submission, and then you'll be able to resubmit. so please contact me on that. When you're all done, now you can just close this. If you want to save your Addition demo file, I probably would save that for now. There's a good chance that we'll probably be uploading some of these files to YouTube, or giving you the opportunity to at least. And so if you have them, it'd be a nice addition to your collection of demonstration files that you'll be including. That is all that I have in my notes for today. I hope that I covered everything that I covered in class. If not, please let me know and I'll do an addendum to this video. Otherwise, like I said, it was just a very, very brief overview, continuing with the Zent you'll install, and then giving you a chance to demonstrate some of the skills that you've been doing in class through the screen capture. We gave time in class to work on that, so that pretty much took up the rest of the class period. Again, if there's any questions or any problems or anything that is just missing or not clear, please contact me. Other than that, have a good day.